Hey, I'm Leo. I'm currently building a startup which grew to over 7 figures in annual recurring revenue in its first 18 months. We have around 10 full-time staff, and I have goals to grow this business, grow its headcount, grow its revenue, and to one day work towards an 8-figure plus exit. Now, whilst I do this, I'm currently traveling too. So over the last 3 months, I've traveled to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, lived there for a month, Vietnam, went to Da Nang, to Ho Chi Minh City, and then eventually got to Bali, which I've been for the last month. And building a business, especially a startup, and going through hyper growth, which we've done over the last 3 months, and traveling at the same time were two things I never thought I could possibly do together. So in this video, I'm just going to share my learning experiences, and hopefully someone out there who's watching this will find it valuable. All right, so lesson number one. Before I went and I started traveling, I thought I would get significantly less work done. I was of the mentality that as an entrepreneur, the only way this works, based on what I have seen, is you need to trap yourself inside of a room with no windows and do nothing but grind. And although I have done that and I've produced incredible results in my life on the back of doing that, it's not true that if you travel, so long as you set things up correctly, that you will actually get less work done. If anything, I would say I've been able to work and stay just as productive or be even more productive when you factor in my mood, my energy levels, and it's like when you're working towards finishing like your homework, that sense of productivity you get knowing you're on a timeline and you just get shit done. That is what it feels like almost every day, because you want to go and explore the city. So you do your work hours and you're just like, all right, let me just keep pushing and get this, get what I need to get done so I can go and enjoy what I need to enjoy. You actually have something to look forward to doing, like exploring a city, going to this place to have dinner. There's always like the due date for your homework, if that makes sense. So while I've been traveling, the reason why I chose Southeast Asia is because the business that I'm building, the platform I'm building, is based in the Australian market. And Southeast Asia is only around 3 hours behind, at some points 4 hours behind the Australian market. So I was able to actually wake up early here. So I'd wake up at say 4:30, start work at 5 a.m. That would at some points was 9 a.m. in Australia. Do a normal full day of work, and then the team would clock off at 5 p.m. and then it would still be 1 o'clock in some of the places that I was in. I remember that was the case in Malaysia. It was 1 p.m. when it was 5 p.m. in Australia. So I had from 1 p.m. onwards to go and enjoy and do anything I wanted, and you have like a full day, and I found that to be way better and so much more of an advantage, because imagine at 1 p.m. you've done a full day's worth of work and you're finishing at the exact same time you would have finished back home, but it's 1 o'clock in the city that you're in, and you can go and enjoy that day completely guilt-free. You feel like your day's so big. You can go to a lunch spot, you can go and explore, you can go for a road trip, you can do anything because it's still 1 o'clock. So I actually felt as though the time zone difference coming here was an advantage for me and helped me be more productive, because actually what ended up happening was I worked longer hours. And rather than finishing at 1 o'clock, I ended up just working until 4 to 5 o'clock anyways. On some days I would take some time off, or I would go to a cafe and continue working. But because I was mentally just programmed and mentally in like the finish at 4, finish at 5 mental state, I ended up just working those extra 3 hours and it felt okay, as opposed to it being say 5 o'clock in Australia and then working until 8 or 9 p.m. which would have never happened, because after work there's a routine that you want to do. You want to have dinner with your wife, you want to go out with your friends, you want to depending on what your dynamic is. So I just found that to actually be massively beneficial, and the fact that I was waking up so early meant that I just had a better lifestyle overall. I was sleeping earlier, waking up earlier, I had longer days, and yeah, I loved it. So that was one thing that I did not expect. I thought I'd work less, and turns out I got just as much work done, if not more. And the last thing that I'll say is just in terms of the mood, being able to finish work earlier, that work that you do from 1 to 4 o'clock, it just feels like you're putting in those extra hours, and no one's calling you, no one's bothering you with messages, and it feels like you're putting in, you're going that extra mile, and so you finish your workday feeling like you did more than just a normal day of work. Okay, number 2 lesson, lock yourself in a room and grind for 12 hours straight versus travel, enjoy life and still grind. The lesson that I learned here is there's no right or wrong way up the mountain. I was always trying to think about what the right or wrong approach was. I consume content online just like you do. I listen to people who say, you should just be in an office, working with your team, grinding nonstop, or you should be in your home office, no windows, and doing nothing but working. You should stay put, don't get distracted, lock in. It's always about lock in, grind, lock in, grind. It's pretty much the same things being preached. And there's nothing wrong with that. As someone who did that for literally the first 10 years of his business journey, like I did that for the first 10 years of my business journey, I can't say there's anything wrong with that, because that actually allowed me to build, successful businesses on the back of it. But the thing that I learned is this, that okay, let me rewind. I'm not going to edit this, all right? I'll keep it raw. There is no right or wrong objective answer to this, because everyone's goals and what they value is subjective to themselves. Okay, that was worth the pause. So in other words, if I value enjoying my life, like that is something I value. I want to be somewhere that's hot. I want to be able to, be in a city and meet new people, or try new foods, or experience. Like I really value life experience and an awesome lifestyle. Then I should be okay with traveling whilst working, and okay with the fact that maybe it takes me 6 months longer to achieve my goal, or 1 year longer to achieve my goal, or 2 years longer to achieve my goal, or even 5 years longer, because I personally value enjoying the journey rather than just getting to the destination, right? Now, someone else might be like, look, I have a goal that I need to achieve, and I need to achieve this goal yesterday. And so what can I do to maximize the speed at which I get up this mountain? Well, in that circumstance, again, a circumstance I've personally been in before, I would say you should lock yourself in a room and do nothing but grind, right? Because that is probably your easiest, simplest way to achieve your goal. Just do nothing but work. Whereas for me at 30 years old, being married, without children, knowing we're going to have kids soon, I thought to myself, and in discussions with my wife, and we had discussion, we said, what do we value right now? Well, we know we're going to have kids one day. And when we have kids, we're going to really lock in and settle in somewhere. Like that's the idea. We should really be valuing, enjoying, and experiencing life as much as we possibly can as single parents right now without children, because when kids come, we're going to have nothing to do but settle down essentially and work. And it got me thinking, like, yeah, there are people in their 30s who are worth $100 million, and in their people who are 25 that are running billion-dollar companies, and I get all of that, but what is it that I personally value? Like, what do I want? If I get away from all the noise, what is it that I want? And when I really had that discussion, and and with myself and with my wife, I came to the conclusion that I was okay with things taking a little bit longer because I want to enjoy my time up the mountain. So the thing that I can encourage you is, if you're watching a lot of content and you're searching for like the right or wrong way of doing things, like, no, I need to stay in grind, no, I need to travel and lifestyle, no, I need to do, just understand that the reason why you're struggling so much and you're hearing so many conflicting ideas and thoughts is because you're trying to listen to other people's objective truth, right? Like, you're trying to get the objective, the objectively right answer, like the objective truth, on a topic that is purely based on subjective values. Like, what do you personally value? So I think I've hammered that point home. Probably overdid it. All right, number 3. Naturally, one of the things that actually held me back, or I was really hesitant about traveling for, was just missing my family, my friends. I am what I would consider a family man, meaning I'm really close with my parents, I'm really close with my siblings, and being away from my parents is not something it's not an experience I ever went through. Even in my single days, I never moved overseas or spent time away from my parents. If I was to go on a 1-week holiday or a 2-week holiday, I'd probably get a call from my mum crying because she misses me. Like, we're a very close, tight-knit family, and moving overseas and being away from them for so long was something I thought about. Like, wow, I'm going to miss my friends and family. Now, yes, I did miss them. I did miss them at the beginning, but it's crazy how quickly things can become normal. Like, this just became the new normal. And one thing that I realized is, just because you're in proximity of other people, it doesn't mean that the quality of the time that you're spending with them can't be better if you're away. Now, an example I can give you is, I turned 30 in March. So in the middle of March, I turned 30. And I had been away since we left in Christmas last year. So I've been away for around 2.5 months. And for my 30th birthday, I flew my parents up, and my siblings came, and then extended family members came, and there was around 17 of us, my parents-in-law as well, 17 of us that came to Bali to celebrate my birthday. We all stayed at the same resort. And what took place was a dream-like experience, and a 10 days of the most intimate, like, incredible quality time spent together. Like, I cannot even begin to explain just how incredible that experience during my birthday was.
Are you sure, man? Yeah, are you sure? Okay. The wheels are hitting my ass. Make it yourself. Smash it. Hello. Hello. Do it. Hey.
يا أهلا وسهلا يا أهلا وسهلا أهلا أهلا أهلا.
Go shawty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip and party like it's your birthday.
To have my family members all come down for 10 days. We were all at the same exact resort. I took time off work during that period. Everyone obviously was on holiday. So everyone's on holiday. People change when they're on holiday. So that same person you see at home, in a home environment during your normal routine, is not the same person you'll experience on holiday. Everyone was on holiday. We're all at the same place. We're all doing day trips. We're all doing activities together, having lunch together, having dinner together. It was incredible. And it's an experience that only was made possible because I decided to travel. So I would have preferred those 10 days over seeing my parents and seeing my siblings every single week, briefly for a couple hours for dinner, like, because that was the routine, right? Now, yes, there's something beautiful about being close to everyone and seeing your loved ones, regularly, but man, like, I just can't explain how incredible those 10 days were. And I just know those 10 days wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have seen versions of people I've never seen before. I wouldn't have felt emotions I've never felt before. I wouldn't have had as much fun and experienced as much joy as I would have experienced before had I not been currently traveling. And then it goes one step beyond that. You know, when you are the person in your family or in your friendship group that is traveling, coming back, because we can obviously travel back when we want, right? So when you travel back, you're able to make an experience of your traveling back, right? It becomes something that people look forward to. So for example, when we decide to go back to Melbourne, let's say we're not going to, that's where I'm originally from, Melbourne, Australia. Let's say we're not going to move back, right? Which currently is the idea. We want to continue to travel. When we announce we're coming back to Melbourne for a week or 10 days, the time at which we're back for our family members and even for, you know, our friends, it's going to be, you know, our week. Like, everyone's going to look forward to it because we're here for a short period of time. It becomes like, I don't know, relatives visiting from overseas. So people who won't usually catch up together are now going to catch up together. Events that typically wouldn't get organized are going to get organized. Dinners, invites, you know, nights out, whatever it is, it's going to become an event. And every time you come, it becomes an event for you, for those around you. And there is something really special, you know, about that. And I did not factor that in to my, I did not really consider that as something, and I've never heard anyone really talk about it. And it was one of those things that I actually walked away with. And then the other point here, which we haven't experienced yet, but if you're away for an extended period of time and you're somewhere which is accessible, like easily accessible, people can come and visit, for example, like Bali, Vietnam, Southeast Asia isn't really too far away from Australia. You can actually host people too, and it becomes like an exciting experience to bring people in. Like, I can have my little brother come up, I can have my sister come up, my partner can have her sister come up, we can have our parents come up. It's like you give people a holiday or an excuse for a holiday, and you can also host them where you're staying, or stay with them where they're staying if they prefer to be at like a hotel or resort. It's just it's exciting. Right, and it's really intimate. You spend a lot of time together, and yeah. All right, number 4. This was a huge takeaway for me, really massive, and I did not realize how important this was until I began traveling. The type of people in the city that you're traveling to, they set the vibe. A place with luxury and a perfect lifestyle means nothing over a prolonged amount of time with the wrong crowd. I had no idea how important this was. When we got to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, it was the first place we had went to, like Phuket or Phuket or whatever, however you pronounce it, for a week over New Year's. And then we went to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, which we had booked out to stay in for a month. When we got to KL, and we're in this new city, and you look around, first of all, KL surprises you. It's not what you think Malaysia will be like. Like, it's beautiful, beautiful city, super modern, extremely affordable. We would order their version of Uber, which is Grab or Bolt, and they would come and pick us up, and it would be a car that would just have a door open up automatically with stars on the roof and reclining chairs. Like, incredible luxury. Like, it's what people say is affordable luxury. Like, everything is super luxurious there. KL is a luxurious place, and I loved it for the first week and a half. But then eventually, very quickly, I thought to myself, wow, is this place boring? I didn't see anyone my age. my wife and I didn't see any other couples that we could really relate to until I think just after halfway through, we actually ended up meeting a couple that was traveling in KL as well. And they were our age and it was awesome. We actually developed a friendship with them, but they were the only ones. Like there is no, the type of people that you see there it's not as a, it wasn't our vibe. It might be your vibe, but it wasn't our vibe. And I guess the lesson in this is for me, the lesson is if I'm in a city and I don't have people there that are my kind of people, my kind of people would be young couples or young single people, focused on health, from multicultural nationalities, and are like to some extent working towards goals, like whether it's fitness goals or business goals. Like that's my type of environment. Like you want to have a nightlife, like you want to be able to go to have dinner and for the place to be buzzing. You want to be able to go to a bar. You want to be able to go out. You want to be able to go to a shisha lounge and walk in and it's busy. I remember this one night, my wife and I found a shisha lounge. I don't smoke shisha, but I like going to them because it typically has a younger crowd and it's just the environment, it's the energy I just kind of want to be in. I want to chill and with other people, my age and potentially even make some friends. And we went to the shisha lounge and we walked in. It was the highest rated shisha lounge, supposed to be the busiest place in Kuala Lumpur at that time. And we walked in and it was empty, absolutely empty. And then over the course of the night, people started to come in and they were just, there was no other couple like us there. And it's almost like, imagine being in a city and the only people you saw were just like your uncles and aunties. No disrespect to uncles and aunties, right? But like, you get the vibe. Like it's not really, people you're going to sit down and develop lifelong friendships with or have a laugh with, or people you can relate to. And by the end of my trip, I went from loving KL and loving the lifestyle and the weather and the gym and everything about it was incredible, to thinking to myself, it doesn't matter how amazing a city is and how incredible my lifestyle is, if like I can't stay here any longer. I really got to that point. And then we went to Da Nang in Vietnam after that for 2 weeks. And that's really what helped me realize how much people make a difference. Because when we got to Da Nang, Da Nang is essentially like the Gold Coast of Australia in Southeast Asia, for those who know what the Gold Coast is. So you're talking like beach vibes. It's almost anywhere you stay is going to be close to the beach. And I've got my own opinion on Da Nang. My wife personally loved it, but the key thing here is when you go to the beach in Da Nang, like as soon as you step outside your hotel, as soon as I stepped out of my hotel, I'm seeing people running. I'm seeing people who are fit, people playing volleyball on the beach. Like every dinner, every place you go to, there's like a young crowd. Like it's buzzing. There's life there. There's energy in that city. There's young energy in that city. And you could even see some people with laptops out working, and it just makes a difference being, in an environment like that. Without a doubt, the best place out of the 3 that I've been through in Southeast Asia in terms of my favorite city was Ho Chi Minh. But my favorite place so far, because of people, like I don't really love this place, which is Bali. I don't love this place in terms of it still has that third world vibe. Everyone's on scooters. It just feels unsafe, and the roads, and you walk, and there's cars driving like almost like touching your shoulder, and you're always on edge. Like I don't really love the third world feel of Bali, but the people in it make it so good. Like you just feel, I don't know, it's just motivating. Like you go out and so many fitness people here, and everyone looks good and they're healthy, and you see people with laptops and they're working, and it's just it's an environment that's buzzing, right? And you feel energetic. And it would be the same reason why people would love Dubai. The thing that is missing from Bali, and I'll probably talk about in another video, is just if you are looking to build a huge business or a big business, there is a higher percentage of entrepreneurs in Bali that are, just kind of, getting by, like doing 10K per month, 15, 20K per month, and they're happy there, and they just want to kind of like live their lifestyle. Whereas if you go to Dubai, for example, you're obviously going to be rubbing shoulders with people doing those crazier numbers. So it just depends on obviously what your goals are. But yes, this is huge for me. And looking back now, I can't imagine actually living in any of the cities that I've been in, despite how luxury they are, how affordable they are, how clean they are, how convenient they are. I can't imagine ever living in Vietnam or in Kuala Lumpur because of the people element that's missing. And the final lesson that I've learned is a personal one, but I wrote down, building a culturally remote-based business sets the foundation for location freedom, and it's worth it. So what I mean by that is, from day zero when I started building this startup, right, around 18 months ago, I had location freedom in mind. And I said to myself, no matter what happens, where I get my staff from or how big we get, I want to make sure that this business continues to be fully remote. I may change my opinion on this in the future, right? But for the goals that I have, at least for the next year or two, I want a business that's built on the cultural foundations of being fully remote. Now, what that meant was, when I was signing on clients, even in my city, in Melbourne, right? And we sell a high ticket service, to join our platform. So it's, I'm not going to go into our pricing, but it's a big investment to join us. And I can't even begin to explain how many more sales I would have made if I had just said to someone, I'll come and I'll see you in person. Let's just catch up for dinner. Let me see you in your office, or feel free to come and see me in mine. But I took the hard route, and I found a way to develop a sales process where we could build enough trust where people would hand over money and sign on with us just purely by Zoom calls. And then I hired all my staff to be fully remote, and I built the entire business with no office to be fully remote. And now I'm able to enjoy the fruits of this labor, because when I move from city to city, it's not surprising, not to my staff, nor to my clients, and it doesn't inconvenience me, in any way. So even having an office, and you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to get an office, but I'm not going to, I've got 3 staff that are going to go work from this office, or 5 staff, or 10, but I will be able to travel and things will be fine. Because that's not the culture you built. Like, let's say you were in that office for the first 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then you remove yourself from that office, to whatever the productivity level of your team was and how they were operating, it's not going to be anywhere near the same when you're traveling, because the culture wasn't built to be optimized around remote work, or to be optimized around you not being present physically somewhere. Even when it comes to your clients, let's say, for example, I've learned this lesson. I had clients who forced me to meet in person. I was like, okay, I'll do it, right? Sign them on. And guess what happened? Whenever any issue took place, they wanted to meet me in person to discuss it. They wanted to have every meeting in person. Imagine if I was overseas. And now I'm dealing with a client who I didn't set the expectation with, that this is a remote-based business. So anyways, that's just my personal takeaway. And that brings me to the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'll answer every comment and every question that comes through. See you in the next one.